Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I am Courtney Anderson, and thank you for joining me today. As always, you can go to CourtneyAnderson.com for more information. So today's show is part of our Help Situation Spotlight series, where people ask me questions, share their concerns, basically looking for some help, and I create some ideas, and then we put together a show schedule, and we come up with episodes based on your suggestions. So as always, continue to share those with me. And this one today is really fascinating to me. Today's episode is, I do my job and their job. Am I a superstar or a sucker? I do my job and their job. Am I a superstar or a sucker? This is something that I've thought a lot about over the years, and I've certainly seen so many examples of confusion, misunderstanding in regards to a team member, an employee, and not fully grasping whether or not they're in a situation where they're a superstar employee, which generally is something that's positive, aspirational, is something that most people would find to be a good thing, or are they someone who, for lack of a more exact term, is a sucker? They're being taken advantage of. They're in a situation where it's a negative. So first of all, how does it happen that there's any confusion between something that's potentially positive and something that's always negative? And what can we do to clear it up? Are you a superstar? And a superstar employee is that superstar who measurably, empirically is more than, better than their peers, right? They exceed the average, and often they exceed it dramatically. And so they sell more, they have better quality, they produce more, they have fewer errors. I mean, whatever the measurement is, they're at the higher end of performance. And so, again, this is usually a very positive thing. I mean, being a superstar has drawbacks, and we certainly do programs on those. I personally, anecdotally, think that being someone who's sort of internally driven and very focused on their own assessment of quality can be something that potentially hits a little close to home, and I understand that personality. And again, there are issues the superstar has to deal with, right? The superstar has sort of a combination of, probably some inherent traits, and then an environment that permitted those traits to be supported and nurtured and to mature and grow. And on one hand, because they're on the sort of being far away from the average, and on a positive note, right? It's higher, it's better, it's more, it's faster, is a good thing for the organization, right? We want to make more money than our peer organizations, or we want to have more contributions than other nonprofits. If we're a nonprofit, if we're a government agency, we want to be more efficient and have more measurable positive results for our communities. So it's a good thing, right, to be like, the best organization or the best team member. The challenge, of course, though, is then you stand out, and which is, some people say, well, yeah, that's the whole point. You want to stand out. You know, you're the best or one of the best. That's awesome, right? It is in a lot of ways. And of course, there's great pride in the organization and the team members who are sort of stand out for the positive consequences of their actions and choices. The result, of course, though, is that can be a little lonely, right? It can be lonely for the organization. It certainly can be lonely for individuals, and I do programs to address some of that. Also, it can be difficult for the organization or the person or the person who is the superstar to be able to see clearly when they're starting to get to a point where they are potentially going to hit their maximum capacity, and they may either then need to make some changes, bring in more resources, or actually at some point realize that is something that's a bridge too far, right? We're not going to do that expansion if we're an organization, or if I'm a person, I'm not going to take on that task. It's hard for the superstar because they're not wired that way to see things as sort of upper limits. I often refer to them and say there's no ceiling, right? They're just sort of driven by their own desire to learn or grow or do their best, and so they don't tend to respond well in terms of assessing and measuring when there really probably are going to be potentially negative consequences when it's just too much. That's one area. But the superstar, I understand. I also, full disclosure, fully understand the person who, goodness gracious, is not the superstar. And we're calling them for purposes of the program because it's very descriptive and I think conveys the message, and there's a little bit of alliteration. They're the sucker. They're being taken advantage of by other people. And I think that the challenge is for someone who says, look, I'm doing my job and their job. That could be somebody who's a superstar saying that, right? Meaning they're saying, hey, look, I'm salesperson of the month. I'm salesperson of the month every month, right? What I do, my sales are the best in the office, but they also are more than everybody else in the office combined. You know, so when I say I do my job and their job, what I'm saying is me alone, right? I'm able to produce more than they do combined. If that's the terminology that you're using when you say that I do my job and their job, but your reward is more than their reward, you're a superstar, right? So you can sit there and, I do my job and their job. Right, but you got salesperson of the month, so it was noticed, it was acknowledged, you were giving recognition and reward, and you earn more money than they do. So yeah, I understand your point that look at them, I can't believe that they don't have the motivation, the drive, some of the the procedures and practices I utilize. I can't believe that they're not using the innovation that I'm using. And right, but you're getting the reward. You have more income than them. You've gotten the recognition and accolades, so it's benefiting you. People can still be frustrated in that situation, but that's a superstar. How do I know that? Because it's the results. The input is I'm doing my job and their job. Fine. What's the output? What's the outcome of that scenario? If the outcome is you also make the most money, you've gotten the biggest promotion, you're at the top of your pay grade, come on. Then yes, I understand. It is frustrating when other people you perceive, or it might be measured, aren't producing what you think they could, or maybe even they should, right? So that isn't a viable issue, and it's something we do programs and I do training and mentoring on, so I understand it. It's real. But you're getting the benefit of it, right? You're overachieving. So you're achieving, right? The bare minimum would be, if you weren't achieving the bare minimum, then an organization would let you go at some point. But you're overachieving. So you're doing way more than the minimum. You're doing so much, in fact, that you're doing your job and their job, and that's why you have all the promotion, the pay, the big office, the travel budget, the best benefits. You were, recognized with the reward and all the accolades and all of that. So you're getting all the, the outcome. That's how the definition is that you're a superstar, because you're achieving higher, better, more outcomes than your peers, which your argument would probably be, well, yeah, but I'm overproducing. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is that is being recognized and you're being treated accordingly. Okay. So superstars have their own again issues with moderation, things being in balance, learning when there is a limit, when what tends to get them in trouble is taking on too much. Sometimes also not wanting to ask for help because they don't see that they need the help early enough. So there are many things that superstars struggle with, but we need to be clear on defining which group they are. Remember, the same input. The input is, I do my job and their job. Well, yeah, but you're the superstar because I looked at your output. Do you make more money than them? Yes. Do you have a higher promotion or pay rate or wage scale than they do? Yes. Do you have a better office? And did you earn when you won the award for highest salesperson, the nicer bonus? Yes. Okay, so then you are doing these things. It's true. Your production is measurably more than theirs. And you also are achieving and receiving more than they are. Okay? That's how we know you're a superstar. So again, you have issues and challenges as a superstar, but they are based on the fact that you are a superstar. This show is really focused on one thing and is clearing up any misconception where somebody might think, oh, okay, I'm doing my job and their job. Am I a superstar or a sucker? And the way that you know is this. Ask yourself, do you make more money than all of the other people whose work you're doing? Do you make equal or less, which is difficult for me sometimes to understand, but it happens all the time, right? Again, we're not talking about a situation where you're doing your boss's job, or you're doing a project and you're letting your boss taking more credit. That's a totally different situation that we discuss in many other programs, okay? Because there are different dynamics in play, and your boss, by definition of them being in a leadership or management position or job title, is going to make more money than you do. That's why they're supervisory. So it's not the same. What we're talking about here is I do my job and their peers. They're not my supervisor, because it makes sense that my supervisor might make more than I do. What we're talking about is, are you a superstar, you're outperforming your peer groups, or are you, and unfortunately, you're not a superstar, and you're just being taken advantage of. And we're talking about, how do I know which one am I? Am I a superstar? I'm asking, do you make more money than they do? Even if it's a nonprofit. If it's a nonprofit, but it's not a volunteer job, and you're getting paid, people get paid, you have nonprofits. Do you make more money than they do? And if it's not direct money, do you have do you have a more generous bonus structure? Are you earning more in commissions? Whatever it is that are differentiators that are permitted in your workplace, do you have a bigger office? Do you get more, telecommuting days? Whatever it is that is the way that your workplace rewards people, are you getting more of that? And so money is usually the thing. But on top of that, or in lieu of that, there may be other issues, okay? Like I said, the office or the bonus or the, reward or the accolade, or you got to go on the special project on the trip, or you were allowed to be part of a high-profile event. Whatever it is, are you getting more of it than they are? Who are they? The people whose jobs you're doing. So, again, same input. Your argument is, hey, I'm doing my job and theirs. Okay. If you're getting more than they are, you're headed toward and almost conclusively are a superstar, because you're doing more than them, but you're getting more than them. If you're doing more than them, but you're not getting more than they are, then you are potentially, and in fact, most likely, a sucker. And this is so difficult emotionally. And I shared a little, bit ago that anecdotally I get the superstar. Yes, I have a tendency, some people would say, to dream and then act big, right? Go for it. I've also, and it's been a very long time since this has happened, been in situations where I did do other people's tasks at work, but I wasn't receiving more or even equal to what they were doing. So, example, a long time ago, relatively speaking, I was working a minimum wage job in fast food industry. And so I wear a uniform and a name tag. I'm paid hourly. I clock in, I clock out. And one of the things that happened at the end of each of the shifts that were at the end of the work day. So there's shifts that are during the day. There's shifts that are in the early evening, and then there's a shift that's going to end. And when that shift ends, the store will close because it wasn't a 24-hour store. So let's say the store closed at, 11 p.m. Okay. So if I was working a shift that my time to leave was before the end of the business day. So let's say the store is closing at 11 p.m. on Saturday night, but I'm actually scheduled to be off by 8 p.m. That would mean that I wouldn't have to be part of the people who close the store, the people who are going to be on working till 11 p.m. who close the store, because they're going to have extra duties, because in addition to just finishing their work, they're going to also close up the store and get it ready for the next day, right? So in that place, people had to, whoever was on that late, close shift had to mop the floors, clean all of the surfaces, put up all of the food, make sure everything was in the refrigerator and properly taken care of for food safety and temperature. They also would go through and clean the bathroom. So it was extra work. Now, of course, they were paid for that because they didn't clock out until after they finished those extra tasks. So it wasn't that the employer did anything they weren't supposed to. It's just that you knew if you were scheduled to work until the end of the closing period for the shop, the store, then or the restaurant, then you knew that you're going to have to, you weren't going to just walk out, at the end. Like, most likely you'd be part of divvying up these duties where, cleaning things, putting things back, refrigeration, temperature check, cleaning the toilets, everything. Like, and you were paid, again, you didn't clock out until it was done, but you just knew that was going to be extra. So it was going to be extra work, it was also going to take more time, and some people don't necessarily get excited about, cleaning toilets. So here I am, I'm many decades removed from today, and I wasn't as sure of myself. And so somebody would say to me, I would be scheduled to close, work a shift where I'd be out of there at let's say 7 p.m., and then somebody would say to me, hey, will you switch with me? And they had a late shift. They basically were saying, well, I trade. I trade the shift where I get to leave at, 7 for the one where they don't get to leave until, 11. Then I'll also want to be on the closing crew. And normally, of course, if it's a situation where, they would trade and I would trade whenever they asked and things of that nature, many people do that. It's normal, right? It's fair. The challenge is that I often realize that when I would ask somebody if they wanted to trade for me when I had a late shift, nobody ever would say yes, right? But then they would come and ask me, and then because I didn't value myself enough, I didn't value my ideas, my opinions, my time, I wanted to be liked. And many people who don't value themselves, they think, well, if you just say yes to everything people ask you, maybe they'll like you. Of course, it's not logical and that's not how life works, but I didn't fully understand that emotionally at the time. So I'd say yes, and then when I said yes once, I ended up saying yes all the time. And then it seemed that I'm staying late and I'm mopping and I'm cleaning. I don't mind doing that. Everybody signed up for that when we all. But I ended up in a situation where every single time somebody else had that, they'd come and give it to me because they knew I'd say yes. So my job, which was that we sort of traded off, relatively randomly, on those who had to stay and close, and then it ended up where I'm doing it all the time, and I'm doing that only because of my own disrespect of myself, and I taught other people that I wasn't valuable or equal, and that I would do my job, and then I would go ahead and give away the shifts I had that were earlier and give it to them and take their job, and I would just go and do all of that, and I never said no. Now the truth is, of course, when I was there almost all the time, mopping and cleaning the toilets and everything, I was angry. But I had no one to be angry at because I'm the one that did this. Now, in the show notes, I mentioned a couple of things. Obviously, this is easy, honestly. Look at the reality. Do you make more than they do? Don't tell me you don't know. Because sometimes they'll say that to people and they say, I don't know. Stop it. Have you gotten a promotion or a pay raise at the public? Do you have a bigger office? Come on. Of course you know. You don't know the exact dollar in many places. Sometimes you do. If you work at many government agencies, and then you do know because it's publicly, disclosed, which I think is great. I actually love transparency. You do know, or you have a pretty good feeling, or is there anything tangible that you've received as a benefit? And the reality is that when somebody starts to tell me, I don't know, means that the reality is that no. You're in the same type of workspace they are. You're working the same type of schedule they are. To the best of your knowledge, you're not making more money than they are. You haven't got any different awards or recognitions or anything, right? So you know that you're not overachieving because you're not over-receiving. Now, this is painful. I was sharing with you my little anecdote, right? That it was painful for me. I was mad. I was sad. I cried. Why am I having to do all this work? Well, because I let it happen. I let it continue to happen. Now, I mentioned in the show notes, a good, talented, skilled supervisor manager will not let it start, right? The talented supervisor manager would have realized and witnessed and observed that I was letting people take advantage of me. And then they would have either had a policy where everybody can only trade once, or no one can trade or something like that to prevent the taking advantage of things. But they didn't do that, which I'm not faulting them for. And the manager didn't step in to do anything, which they could have and would have been helpful. But here's the thing. You can't rely on somebody else. You can't rely on somebody else to value you and to step in and to assert your equality. You have to do that in a healthy, positive, assertive way. Well, I know that now. I didn't realize that then. And I had these other competing emotional unmet needs, right? I wanted people to like me. Now, that doesn't make them like you. When they take advantage of you, it makes them not value you. And they start to learn really quickly, well, go ask her. She'll do it. And that's what's happening to you if you're at work and you're doing your job and their job, and you're not getting the over-receiving. I mean, you're not an overachiever. You don't make more. You don't have the accolades, the recognition. None of that's happening. When that happens, people are jealous, right? Or at least in a healthy way, they recognize it, or they're motivated to try to achieve that themselves. When you're doing your job and their job, and they're getting the same thing you have or more, first of all, it's unethical, right? So don't do it. I don't do it. I'm not someone who myself has gone to somebody else and done that. Here, do my job, because that's not how I'm wired. That's not how I think. It's not sort of my pattern of behavior. So if you're the person doing that, which of course you wouldn't be probably listening to this program, you must stop that. It's unethical. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's bullying, basically. So if you're in a situation where you're doing your job and their job, and you're not getting the over-receiving, right, the pay, the bigger office, the huge awards luncheon, the write-up from the media about how great you are, if none of this is happening, you're not over-receiving, then you're equal to what they are, then you're being taken advantage of. And that is a horribly painful thing to admit, but you must admit it to be able to move forward and to change the dynamic. Why did it happen? It happened because people do what they want to and what they're allowed to. I mention this in so many programs because it's the core, in a very simplified way, to explain the behavior. They wanted to do it. Well, a lot of us want to do it. I might think, I want to take advantage. The key is they also were allowed to. They allowed themselves to, which is the part about their own integrity and their own ethics. Like they thought it. Many people think things, but then they went ahead and did it, right? Hey, can you go ahead and help me with this project? Help is one thing. Dumping it on you, where you're doing your job and their job, and they allowed themselves to do that, says a lot about them. It's a whole other program. The fact that you allowed them to do that says a lot about you, and that's what this program is. There's some core unmet need that's allowing you to teach people to disrespect you and devalue you. You must identify what that is. It could be loneliness. It could be a feeling of insecurity. It could be a lack of confidence. It could be that very awful thing where people say, I don't deserve it, right? This is all I'm good enough for. This is so painful. There's so many people, they do their job, then they come in early, or they stay late, or they work through lunch to do the other people's job. And nothing has anything to do with the work, of course, right? I mean, other than I guess you could say it's a bit of a compliment. They must think that you're capable enough to do their work, because otherwise they wouldn't go to you to ask you to cheat for them, right? If your work quality was horrible, they wouldn't even bother, because they'd realize you're probably going to get them fired. That's not what they want. They just want to not have to do it and then still get the same pay or leave early or whatever. You're letting them do that. Why are you letting them devalue you and your time and your work? Why? You can't complain and say, well, it's a tough economy, and if I say anything, I'm just lucky to have a job. You are lucky to have a job, but so are they. Here's the thing. They're not even doing their job. You're doing their job. It must stop. It must. It must. How do you stop it? Most of this is easy. Obviously, again, let's be very positive. Your work quality, speed, efficiency, productivity is already perceived as, if not actually, equal to or better than what's expected, because they wouldn't come to you to ask you to do it for them unless they thought it would give them good outcomes, right? If they thought you would do it and it would be horrible and they'd be fired, they wouldn't have asked. Okay, so that's a positive. That means you don't need to worry at all about your quality right now. What you need to teach people is you've got to go spend time with yourself. And I talk about this in a lot of programs. It starts and it ends with you. You need some silent, quiet time. And I mean that. So before you go to, a spiritual, a religious, a community, a family, and start seeking out resources and help and support and guidance and all of that, start with you. And you need to go somewhere quietly by yourself. It could be a corner, it could be a closet, it could be anywhere. We have silence, and you need to listen to yourself and talk to yourself. The reality is that somebody whose own integrity and ethics allows them to go let other people do their job for them, do you want them as your friend? I would argue no. And get this, you can't make them be your friend, and they're not your friend now. So you can at least understand and say to yourself, hey, I'm either paid for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of tasks or a combination thereof. So is that other person, right? That's how they're able to come and ask and get you to do their job. They're going to have to carry their own weight, and my time is mine. I'm going to do my work, and then I'm going to do whatever else that I do, even if it means I'm going to go home and sit around by myself or be around people that I might not like or whatever. My roommate might drive me crazy, but I don't care. I'm leaving this place just like they are. If I don't work at a traditional office place, I'm logging off, and I'm not going to be available. You have to claim your life and your time. They take advantage of you because they want to, and you allow them to. First, they allowed themselves, but that you have no control over. But you allowed them to. And you do it once, and you do it again and again and again, and it keeps teaching them, come to me with your stuff, I'll do it. You might cry. You might complain when they're not there. You might say bad words in your mind about them, but you don't say anything to them. You don't do anything to stop them, so they keep doing it. And, of course, now they have less work, so they have plenty of free time, right? Why are you doing this? That's the unmet need that you have to go sit quietly in your quiet place and try to figure out. Are you just lonely? If so, then you're going to have to take some steps to address that. Outside of work. Or inside of work with people who aren't abusers. Meaning what? Be more social. Ask somebody, can I join you guys this year? Headed out to lunch? Oh, not today. We don't have an extra space, but maybe tomorrow. Okay, great. You got to start putting yourself out there. It's horrible for people who that's the unmet need, but you have to. Otherwise, it never changes. If you don't think you're good enough, then you got to get that. You got to start working on that. And that might be a combination of all types of things. Your health, physical fitness, emotional, psychological, spiritual, religious. I don't care. You throw everything at it. But you have to make yourself equal. That means you do your job. We're not talking about my supervisor asked me to help them. Your supervisor asked you to help them. Your supervisor didn't ask you to go do their whole job. You must be your own number one fan. You must. Everything in life reorders itself when you believe in yourself in a positive way. And you're smiling, and you're whatever is culturally appropriate wherever you are. The tone of your voice is what it needs to be, and you just let people know. Oh, I wish I could help. I think I sent you that email, right? Some suggestions. I'll resend that in a minute. Okay, but I'm just swamped with all my own stuff. I got to get out too, and we end our project, or I'm logging off. At the end of the meeting, just like they are, right? It doesn't matter if you're in your mind, you think, oh, well, they said they have all these things with their family, and I don't have a family, or they said they were doing this, and, stop. Whatever it is you do, even if it's literally nothing, it's still equally valuable as your time. It's equal to their time. If there's something, again, unmet need that you think you need to address, then you go quiet to that place and you're honest with yourself about what it is, and you start taking some steps. Yes, it's uncomfortable. That's why it's an unmet need. You're just trying to go about it in the wrong way, letting somebody take advantage of you. You have the talent and the skill to be a superstar, but it will never happen. It will never happen if you teach people to just respect you. And trust me, the supervisor, manager, leader, whoever knows, they sense who's what they call assertive, right? And the people who are being taken advantage of. It's not helping you. You're never ever going to get ahead in any type of organization by teaching people that you're not valuable. And I've had people say that to me. They'll say, well, I know they took advantage of me, but I just thought then everyone would see that I got, I did my work and theirs too, and I get the promotion. What? Are you serious? Who respects somebody who doesn't respect themselves? No one. You respect yourself. You respect your time. You respect your work. And that is just what we just did. Someone asked, "Oh, can you help?" "Oh, I wish I could. I'm headed out to when the project ends, or I'm logging off when we log off. Oh, I wish I could." Or if you've already wanted to write a sentence or two, or send them somewhere else to go look up stuff that you looked up when you're working on your project, you can do that. But don't do anything. You can lead. You can point them toward the water, right? Lead the horse to water. You can't make them drink. Stop. They're responsible. You can do it with a smile. You can do it with pleasantry. You can do it with whatever you want to feel that you're being, quote, nice. Understand that if somebody's a bully trying to find somebody to take advantage of, they're not going to be your friend either way, right? And again, I argue you don't want to be their friend because they already have this issue with integrity and ethics. But some people say, well, I don't want them to get mad at me, or they won't like me. They don't like you anyway. That's why they're over there trying to take advantage of you. They will respect you at some level for you respecting yourself. So you can try it any way you want to. A longer no, right? Oh, I really wish I could. Or you can just, oh, no, yeah. Whatever you need to do, except that all these emotional things have nothing to do with reality. Nobody respects someone who doesn't respect themselves. Respect yourself. They'll respect you because they're going to have to, because you're going to make them. And your life will be easier, and you have control of your time. And now you can start to do the things that superstars do to get the promotion, the pay raise, the bigger office, the highest commission, the rewards, the accolades. Everybody wants to be part of something that's positive. If you treat yourself in an abusive manner by letting other people take advantage of you, none of that's something that's admirable, healthy, or that anyone's going to promote. That's healthy. You need to show, first and foremost, again, I talk about it in so many programs, that you're you, and you like you. And you like you so much, you respect you. You respect you so much, you respect other people. You can get stuff done, and you're someone that other people will lead. Other people will see as a leader, right? Leaders are not liked, they're respected. So all this is to say, it's very clear. Are you a superstar, or are you a sucker? The answer is, are you overachieving and receiving more pay, more benefits, or are you not? Equal or probably even less. That's the answer. If you're the superstar, you've got a whole bunch of issues you're going to deal with, right, about balance, right, about celebrating your own success, not being too hard on yourself. That's a whole different animal. We've got many programs and resources. Again, you can always come to CourtneyAnderson.com. If you were a sucker, we've all grown and been through different challenges in life. I shared my own little anecdotal experience. It's okay. I'm not at all anything but proud. Once you learn it and you face it and you realize it, all you got to do then is go in there quietly, figure out the unmet need, start working on the unmet need, and as soon as you feel that you believe enough in yourself, then you start teaching people. No. Oh, I wish I could. Oh, gosh darn, it was too bad you didn't ask earlier. Whatever. But the end result is no. Okay? And if you get somebody who pushes you a little bit, you can always say to them something like, oh, again, I just really wish I had the time. Do you want me to go ask our supervisor if maybe they can get, someone else to help you? Or do you want, or see if they can send you back to the training? Now, I would only do that. I understand you make somebody mad. But the reality is you have to teach them, you get it. You are equal as a human, and your time is equal, and that there's nothing they're going to say or do that's going to change the outcome. And if it's something, my family member, whatever, you say, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, that reminds me that, something happened to me too one time with my relative. Look, they have to make choices. You have to make choices. If it was genuine help, of course you would do it, but that would be reciprocal. Okay? I really hope that this was helpful. And again, I'm so grateful that you joined me. You can always come to CourtneyAnderson.com for more information, and have a great rest of your day.